I have been tagged by my man Sam Broom to do a video, 10 Cheapies for Life. Stay tuned. Thank you for stopping by. SOS Fragrance Reviews. I am Rob, aka DJ Ville. Again, I've been tagged by my brother Sam Broom to do a video, 10 Cheapies for Life. I'm going to try to get through these as quickly as possible. My parameters for a cheap fragrance, pretty much $50 or less. And it's going to be a fragrance that was once at the brick and mortar retailers at full price and is now highly discounted. You can pretty much get it everywhere discounted, versus maybe a fragrance that had a suggested retail of a certain price, but it was always sold at a really inexpensive price. So that's kind of the difference with the fragrances in my list. You've got to be willing to step out of the $100. I take that back. You've got to be willing to step out of the 100 ml bottle size to get some of these fragrances. I really believe that, there's nothing wrong with getting a 30 ml, a 50 ml, or a 75 ml fragrance. You still get the juice, you don't get as much, but you get it at a better price point and it allows you to sample more. So with some of these, they're not like 100 ml bottles. They're smaller than 100 ml, but still great buys, still worth the money, and ones that I highly suggest. So there you go. First fragrance is from the house of Trussardi. This is El Uomo. This is a 1995 release, and it's unique. This is a unique, if I would call it, freshy. It's more of an aromatic, but it's got a unique note of tomato leaf, which is something you don't see in a lot of fragrances currently. And it kind of has like this rocky, stony, almost flint-like, smell to it. And then you couple that with geranium and some other clean, fresh notes. It's got like a little slight hint of smokiness to it. It's just a great fragrance, and to me, it sets itself apart from the typical citrus, aquatic fragrances out there. And you can cop this one on eBay for about like $45. This one is a little harder to find right now because it's no longer in production, but you can still find it, and Amazon is the place to go if you want to try to track this one down. Look at some of the reviews and see what people say. I doubt you can get a sample, but this is one that I highly recommend, and it definitely sets itself apart from the typical, freshy, aquatic, or even aromatic type fragrance, just because that tomato leaf is not something you catch that often. So again, Trussardi, El Uomo. Next up is a fragrance that I featured in a video I did some years back. It was foundational fragrances, for the beginner. And I just went through a bunch of fragrances that I think, you should have starting out a collection. It was like trying to help people have a good, starting collection and a well-balanced collection. And this is one that I'm going to always have in my collection. This is Dunhill by Dunhill. And I've seen it listed a number of ways. So you might search and see this as Dunhill Man. You may see it as Dunhill by Alfred Dunhill. I've seen this listed a number of ways, but again, this is a great fragrance. It's an '03 release. It's like I don't know how it's categorized. I'm thinking that they probably got this like a woody aromatic. It's kind of like that. It's got lavender, it's got iris, it's got cedar in the base. It's an incredible fragrance, and I liken this one to Zaharoff Signature Pour Homme. This is almost like a precursor for that fragrance. There's a Tom Ford one that's also, I think, is a precursor, but this one is, I think, probably, one of the, early 2000 fragrances that took like the typical masculine fragrance DNA and kind of modernized it. And they, added a few smooth, sweet touches to it. Now, this is not a sweet fragrance, but it does have a sweetness to it. But it's just an incredible, you would say, it could be a professional, formal, or even a date fragrance. It smells classy, and you can cop this between $25 to $35 all day long. on a lot of different places, a lot of different sites online. So, Dunhill Man or Dunhill by Alfred Dunhill, however you will see it online. Check this one out. From the House of Guerlain, Le Rosé or La Rosé, 2012 release, incredible vetiver, like in citrus fragrance. I think the citrus is lime, grassy, slightly smoky, a little bit of booze, fresh and clean, incredible for hot weather. Well, I think it's one of the better hot weather fragrances out there, one of my favorites. You can cop this all day between 25 to 35 bucks. I think you'd be hard pressed to find something better like this. La Rosé, Guerlain. From the House of Lolita Lampica, this is Eau Masculine, and this is a 2000 release. I believe this was put together by one of my favorite perfumers, Annick Monardo. I could be wrong, but I think she did this one. And she did another one that I've got in this list. But this is like I guess you could say maybe an Oriental woody. I'm not sure, but this is a cool fragrance because it is like a mix of clean and sweet, and a little bit of woodiness. I would, the only thing that I can compare it to is L'Homme by Prada, but this is different. Where I feel like the Prada one is a little bit more refined, but this one is still a really great fragrance, and it's got like anise and like a licorice note, and it's got like woods in the base with vanilla. So it's kind of a sweet fragrance, but it's also got like this really clean, almost soapy like characteristic to it. Also because it's got like I want to say it's got like basil and like ivy in this one also, but it's kind of got like this clean and sweet, vibe to it that is really, really nice. And I see people talk about the other offshoots from this fragrance, flankers, but I never really see a lot of folks talk about the original. And I've had this in the collection since like 96, 7, somewhere around there. So it's going to be a fragrance I'm going to always have in the collection. It comes in 2 different bottle styles. I would highly suggest you get this bottle style. Alrighty. There's one where it doesn't have the plastic around the top, and it's just the gold center is the top. I don't know when that bottle style came out, but this is the bottle style from when I purchased it. I've got 2 bottles of this, and incredible fragrance. I always suggest to get the original bottle style because I don't know if it's been, touched and reformulated. So, Lolita Lampica, great release. If you can cop this one, please do. I think this one is still in production. I haven't smelled the current, version of it, but again, this is just a great fragrance, and I highly recommend it. And this will always be in the collection. So, here you go. From the House of Cartier, 2012 release, Declaration d'un Soir. This is one of the best masculine, clean, fresh rose fragrances in the game. Period. If it's not top 5, it's at least an honorable mention. Straight up. I mean, it's that good of a rose fragrance in my opinion, because most rose fragrances miss the mark when it comes to it being masculine. I think a lot of cats struggle with that. So we see a lot of rose and oud combos now, but I know everybody doesn't like oud, and a lot of cats struggle with rose. So I don't think that's the right combination if that's a note you struggle with. I think this particular rose fragrance is cool because it's got this dryness to it, a pepperiness to it, and it's got almost like a wateriness to it. So it's got this clean and fresh feel that I really haven't smelled, in the game. Whether we're talking designer, we're talking niche, indie, or like a vintage rose fragrance. I mean, maybe there's something out there I just haven't smelled, but this one to me is just really well done. And, if you have to have a rose fragrance in your collection and you are, you're looking at cheapies, this is the one to cop. Okay, you can cop this one all day long between 30 to 40 bucks. And this is like a 3.4 or a larger bottle. Which one is this? This is a 3.3, 100 ml. I've never seen it in a smaller size bottle online, but you can cop this all day long. Really incredible fragrance. I always have this in the collection. Cartier Dune Soir. Here's an incredible release from 1989. This is Moobs Womo by Kriza. This is an EDT. I just got up on this fragrance within the last 3-4 months. Crazy. I never saw it in the store back in the day, but this is an incredible release. It's a really nice patchouli fragrance. It's got aldehydes. It's got woods in the base. I mean, I think it's got coriander, some other things going on. This is just a really incredible fragrance that does not smell dated. You can cop this one online for around $50. Now, this size is like a 30 ml. You can find it in a 30 ml splash or spray. I actually also have a spray, but this is a splash. Great fragrance. I mean, it just smells like money. It does not, again, smell dated, and that's just so key. I think a lot of times cats will see me, see a fragrance that I'm talking about, and they'll think, it smells like an old man fragrance. Trust me, this one does not. Classy. It's got some kick to it, so it performs. You don't need a lot of this fragrance, but it's definitely a great patchouli, because patchouli is a note that I struggled with for a while, and I'm coming around on it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of cats also, feel the same way. I think there always are people that just love patchouli out the gate, but I think a lot of cats don't love it out the gate, and this is a great one too, if I guess you want to say start out with. Really incredible fragrance. Again, Moods Womo by Kriza. It's an EDT. 2015 release from the house of Zorro. It's a Zorro Intense. This is like an aromatic fragrance. I know you guys are pretty familiar with the OG, but this is like an updated version of that fragrance. It's been modernized. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it. I think it's got cinnamon. It's got like a boozy accord to it. I don't know if it's like a rum or like a whiskey note. Of course, it's got vetiver. This is what I think a modern masculine fragrance should be like. And I don't mean that to knock other fragrances, but this does not have like that really super sweet bubblegummy vibe to it. It's not like a blue fragrance. It's not the, it doesn't have like the that Sauvage Ambroxan feel. It's just a well done, to me, classy smelling fragrance that actually has, I think, some sex appeal to it. I think this would be a one that I think ladies would like this fragrance. It just kind of has that vibe with it having the cinnamon and the booziness to it with the vetiver. My only knock on this fragrance is that it only lasts for like about 4 to 5 hours. And I know a lot of cats, when it says intense, they're thinking this is beast mode, it's going to last all day long, and it's not. It's cool when, that some fragrances don't last all day. You don't have to have every fragrance be 8 hours plus. I know you see that a lot, but it's not really necessary. Sometimes it's cool to have a fragrance that lasts for 4 or 5 hours, and then you can transition into something else if you want to, or not. But yeah, I think that's something that people don't really think about too much. But anyway, great fragrance. Check it out. Zorro Intense. From the house of Narciso Rodriguez, for him, 2007 release. Really well done musk fragrance. This is basically like violet, musk, and patchouli. Well received in Fragcom. A lot of folks like this one. If you look at the reviews, a lot of people speak very highly on it. I really like the musk fragrance myself. It's kind of been dubbed the wet concrete fragrance. I don't know which one I think is better, this or the Kills. This kind of has like a little floral twinge to it. I would definitely say sample this if you can before you buy it. But this is a really well done fragrance, and you can always get this one around the $47 mark. So this will always be in my collection, and I'm recommending this as a cheapie that you should have. So Narciso Rodriguez for him. EDT. From the house of Kenzo Jungle Pour Homme. This is just woody goodness. Honestly, it's like lime, cedar, nutmeg, and some other notes. Just is just a really well done, powerful fragrance that I never really see anybody talk about in Fragcom. It's a 98 release, yeah, 98. This is kind of like a woody, spicy. Highly recommend it. You can cop this one in the $40 range. Caveat with this one, you'll see it in a burgundy box. You'll see it posted within a burgundy box. If you see that burgundy box, that is the one you want. That is the older formulation, and that's the one that I have. Great, great fragrance. I'm going to always have this in the collection. Kenzo Jungle Pour Homme. This one is classified as an Oriental Spicy. I don't know. Released in 2000 from the house of YSL. This is Body Coros. All right. This one is also put together by Anik Monardo. This is a great fragrance. It's one of my favorites of all time, believe it or not. This is got this really dope mix of like benzoin, eucalyptus, and incense. It's got a few other notes, but I mean, those are like the players. It kind of has this like cherry menthol almost feel to it, but it's just so unique. It's not like the original Coros, but it's I think it's so GQ. I think this fragrance just is one that I feel like should be getting way more like love in the fragrance community. Like when you hear people talk about the OGs, of course they talk about Coros. Coros is the OG, hairy chested, like, you know, big powerhouse fragrance that folks always talk about, but people never talk about Body Coros, and I really love this fragrance. And it's got a couple different body styles, but this is the body style you want to get. This is like the body style of the original formulation. If you can, you know, cop this one, I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised, and I think you'll enjoy your purchase. So, Body Coros YSL. Oh, I'm sorry. You can cop this fragrance usually between $35 to $50. I've seen it cheaper, but it's usually with sellers that I'm like, I don't know if I want to buy from you. So typically at the respectable sellers, you're going to see it between $35 to $50. So again, Body Coros YSL. All right, for an honorable mention, I'm going to bring up Sung Homme by Alfred Sung. This is a fragrance that I actually remember seeing in the stores way back in the late 80s, early 90s. I remember it being like next to Czar and Baryshnikov and Egoist by Chanel and Fahrenheit and Tuscany by Aramis. I remember all of these fragrances kind of being on the counters around the same time. So this was in the brick and mortar stores, full price. Now you can catch it at retailers like Marshall's and TJ Maxx and Ross and other places for about like $20 or less. This is an incredible soapy fragrance. Nobody ever talks about this fragrance really, but it's like a bar of Irish Spring, and you know, it doesn't smell synthetic. It's extremely strong, so you only need about 2 or 3 sprays of this fragrance, and once it settles down, man, it's incredible. I prefer the dry down to like the opening and when it's really just projecting like crazy, but it never really smells like it doesn't smell chemical. It just smells like an amped up bar of Irish Spring. So if you ever are looking for if you're ever looking for an inexpensive soapy fragrance that you can get on the cheap, this is one you can get on the cheap. Sung Homme, Alfred Sung. That is it, guys. Again, I thank you so much. I was tagged by my brother Sam Brune, so there you go. I don't really have anybody I want to tag. I would just hope that somebody else would take the baton and knock one out of the park. So thank you so much for checking out the video. Feel free to like, comment, share the video. I appreciate all your support. Thank you so much. Be blessed. See you later.